Guten Tag, meine Damen und Herren, auf Englisch. Deutsch ist nicht meine Muttersprache, deswegen auf Englisch. Ich habe heute vor, nein, auf Englisch. I'm going to start with polarization, the dynamics of polarization, and I owe you why I started to study polarization. It was in the year 2005 when many societies in Europe were hit by polarization. And they were hit by a specific Us-Them scheme, Muslim versus non-Muslim. And we all remember those days. The days where we felt there are only two types of people, some of them Muslims and other non-Muslims. And I asked myself the question, how come that in those years I became a non-Muslim? I didn't do anything, it just happened. In New York, we all saw the disaster of the World Trade Center, and in many countries in Europe, we were hit by violence. But somehow, all of these events had an impact on us. It impacted us in the sense that we were also classified. And this classification, this us-them thinking is exactly what polarization is. And it hits us today. So my key question in 2005 was, can we do something about polarization? Is there anything we can do? So I wanted to find out, is there such a thing as polarization dynamics? And in the following 20 years, I decided let's develop such a thing as leadership and strong leadership in polarization strategy. In the years that followed 2005, I went to Northern Ireland because I wanted to find out what is us-them thinking. I Googled on polarization management, and there were no hits. We can only Google on conflict management. There is such a thing as conflict management, and I'm sure that you are all skilled in some way in this conflict management. I'm absolutely sure that you didn't follow a course on polarization management or polarization strategy. It did not exist 20 years ago, and I decided 20 years ago to develop this. And I'm going to give you the outcome of 20 years of research and daily practice. I'm going to share 3 basic laws. I'm going to share 5 roles in polarization, or 6. And you will find yourself in one of these roles. And I'm going to share the 4 game changers that we may need in our companies, in our daily work. So let me first share the 3 basic laws. And I found them out in daily practice. This is not theory. This is what I work with, and this is what helps me. I worked in Cambodia, Lebanon, Tanzania, throughout Europe. And in all of these situations, these 3 basic laws help me, these 5, 6 roles, and these 4 game changers. So a long introduction, a little bit to impress you, but mainly because I want you to know this is daily practical knowledge. So what is the first basic law? Polarization is not the same as a conflict, because every conflict has time, place, and people who own the conflict. Let's say Amsterdam. Not so long ago, there were riots in the streets because there was a game, a soccer game between Maccabi Tel Aviv and Ajax. That day, Amsterdam, place and time, there was a conflict. In the streets, youngsters were following Jewish people in order to beat them up. What you need for that conflict is conflict management. So you need police, you need a strong mayor. That is a conflict situation. But conflict is not the same as us-them thinking. Because us-them thinking, this thinking in one camp and the other, that is a thought construct. It has no time, no place. You can't go to the polarization. You can go to a conflict. So it makes polarization very difficult. In the example of Amsterdam, there were some people who said, I know the us-them. It's the young Muslim youngsters versus Jewish tourists. Others said, no, this is about the Jewish community, and the opposition here is Jewish community, Dutch society. Some said, no, this is the Arabic world that opposes Western societies. And now we see some interesting dynamics. Conflict is quite simple. Place, time, some people who are involved. Polarization needs something else. And maybe you experience this in your companies. Difficult us-thems enter the work sphere. Gaza, Israel. Ideas about diversity. And of course, you have policies on diversity and inclusion, but on top of them, some us-thems are almost living their own lives within the company. And sometimes it is the elder generation and youngsters, or work floor versus management. What I'm talking about is us-them dynamics, and I want I want to help you as a professional to make a distinction between conflict and polarization. So this is the first rule. Good news, it's only a thought construct. Bad news, there is a lot of it. And we all love it. Now the second basic law. Polarization needs fuel. It needs fuel. This is a match. Polarization needs fuel. Us-them thinking needs fuel. And what is fuel? The thing that one of the poles says about the other pole. These hooligans are no brains. Or leftish people are naive. Or maybe asylum seekers are fortune seekers. So what you see is a simple statement about the other side. But negative statements are fuel, positive statements are fuel as well. So for example, between women and men, women do not know how to reverse park a car. That's negative. You could also say, women are good multitaskers. Highly positive, but it doesn't matter for the us-them thinking. So positive and negative statements both work as fuel for us-them dynamics. And this, of course, is part of the explanation why we are so helpless and powerless. If negative statements work as fuel, what can we do if positive statements work as fuel as well? Fuel. These days, we have many more possibilities to deliver fuel. This fuel basic law is the explanation why many societies today divide, split. Because of this dynamic, we have social media. Like in the 30s, there was the radio that fueled a lot of us-them thinking. And these days, there is a new medium wave as well, which is social media. Now, the third basic law, maybe the most difficult one. If we talk about polarization, and that's different from conflict, it's no longer the head that we address. It's gut feeling. Gut feeling reigns, and rationality gets lost. And this, of course, we, highly educated people, we need to face. It no longer matters what we say. The only thing that matters is who we are, how we say it. And there we enter the realm of leadership. I was in Cambodia, and a lady told me, I know what this is about. I look at myself as an open, dialogue-minded person. But as soon as I start talking to this or that family, I feel inside that the parents of her are the parents that were opposing my parents. And the ancestors of hers are opposing my ancestors. So it is about identity. Polarization dynamics, splitting societies, splitting teams is very often not about, do you have good arguments? It's about this gut feeling dynamic. So what can we do about this gut feeling dynamic? Summarizing, it's a thought construct. Polarization needs fuel, and it is about gut feeling, but there are different roles in polarization. And the first role is the role of the pusher. Who are pushers? Simply, you recognize them, people on the pole who have a statement about the other's identity. So, for example, in my country, Geert Wilders, he is, or Orban, those diversity people are, or asylum seekers are testosterone bombs. But who is a pusher as well? Greta Thunberg. Because she says the adults are hypocrites. So on the left side, on the right side, you see these people who like to deliver fuel for us-them thinking, and they deliver monologue. Donald Trump, Uberpusher. People who deliver fuel, who like monologue, but now you can make a sketch of society. This is a polarization map, but you can also look at your company. Who are the pushers? And there is a second role. Who are the joiners? Joiners decide to choose camp. And you can recognize them because they always say, I'm not entirely agreeing with the pusher, but I think he or she has a point. That's what joiners do. They pretend as if they are more reasonable. But hey, they make a decision to be on this side or that side. And now I come to the third role, which is the role of the silent. In polarization, there's one group which is neglected the most. One group that is not seen, not heard. One group that does not have a voice. The silent. And for managers, leadership, maybe this is the most important group. Although the polls keep us busy. But what do we do? And do we know the silent? Very often the biggest group. Now the interesting thing for me is, in the silent you have three types. The first one is indifferent people. People who don't care. Second one, those who really are engaged and are consciously in the middle. And the third one, the professional neutrals. Professional neutrals such as mayors, those who direct, who are not on this side or that side, those who are expected to show leadership, teachers, judges, journalists. Actually, all those people that Donald Trump is targeting at the moment, the professional neutrals. Because there is a dynamic, and I want to share this with you. We always think that when there is polarization, there is a dynamic where this side is attacking the enemy. But the enemy in polarization is not the same as the target group. What is the target group in polarization? It's the neglected middle. Because what do we do in polarization? We tell the middle to decide. Silence, we say, is complicity. You need to make a decision now. So we have to think of what role to play in this situation. Can we, for example, be on the top? Let's try to be a bridge builder. But here we already see that bridge builders try to be above the tension field. Can one be a bridge builder in polarization and be effective? Many times, leaders, bridge builders, managers lose all their energy on trying to build bridges between the poles, neglecting the middle. And the thing for pushers is they love bridge builders. Why? Because bridge builders provide a stage. Bridge builders will make poles important. Bridge builders very often come up with a counter-dialogue and with reasoning. Pushers love bridge builders and they say, hey, I don't like to talk to the others, but if you say that I should, okay, I will be ready, but you make it to a success or not. So bridge builders always feel that they need to fight for sympathy on this side or the other side. Bridge builders, in a way, are held hostage by the poles. Bridge builders, with the best of intentions, open up dialogue with people who are interested to have a monologue. So the big change, of course, is can we avoid giving strength to the poles? Because we do not want this picture. Polarization can be healthy. It is as old as the world. If you read the Bible, there's a lot of polarization there. But no, if we want to avoid a severe polarization, then we should stop strengthening the poles. If the poles are strong, there are only joiners and there's no middle anymore. For peace, the middle is key. For cooperation and working together, the middle is key. The middle very often is targeted by the poles, and in a, let's say, harsh, severe situation of polarization, the middle is not tolerated anymore. If you are still in the middle, mind you, all the leaders in our group, if you are still in the middle when there is polarization, you are likely to become the fifth role, which is the role of the scapegoat, Sündenbock. They are not found, the Sündenbock, on the poles. They are found in the middle, because the middle in polarization simply is not tolerated. So democracy, for me, is the upper part of this picture. The lower part is where we do not want to go. We need to polarize every now and then. We needed Nelson Mandela to change South African society. So there's nothing wrong with being a pusher, but there is this situation where you enter in the, let's say, non-civilized zone. And we all know that Donald Trump and the United States are heading towards the lower picture. And in the lower picture, there's no cooperation anymore. The only rules that apply to the lower picture are power. Power, power. And democracy, in a way, is the upper part, and we need strong leadership to stay there. Now, let's say the hope-giving part. For game changers, how can you ever do something about polarization? Well, the first game changer is strengthen the middle. When there is polarization, do not waste your energy on the poles all the time. If you strengthen the middle, you will stay in the upper part. Stop satisfying the poles, stop fighting the poles. If you have a strategy on diversity and inclusion, and you start being on one pole, and you sense that you're on one pole, it may very well be that you strengthen the opposition. That's what I see happening a lot of times. Instead of being in this black and white thinking, see if you can stop fighting the poles and strengthen the middle. That's the first one. So in this us-them thinking, stop fighting the poles, but also start to find what is at stake for the middle. When we talk about Gaza, Israel, or diversity and inclusion versus the old-fashioned ways of doing, what is at stake for the middle? If you find the bonding dilemma of the middle, it's gold. Because if you can help people in the middle to work on the dilemmas of the middle, you are attractive for the organization and those in the middle. And of course, you do compete. You do compete in your leadership with the poles. But we need that leadership that will find a position, look at and listen to what is at stake for the middle. And of course, you need, and maybe this is the sixth role, you need someone to start with strong leadership in that middle position. If we talk about polarization, we very often think about right and wrong. We lose the tone that will bond the middle. Now, bonding the middle, in a way, is dependent on if we can find the tone and the words that will emphasize and strengthen the key questions of the middle. To make an extra clear statement, this is not about politics only. Yes, this applies to societies, but it is also something that you find on the meso level, the micro level. Macro level societies, let's say Democrats, Republicans, but also within companies. What is the us-them that is at present in your company? And on the micro level, it could be my family versus my wife's family. You find these pushers, joiners, silent, these scapegoats, and these bridge builders anywhere. And for us as professionals, I hope we can really make sure that we do not find the perfect role, but at least be conscious about the role that you pick in these polarization dynamics. Thank you very much.